Hello everybody and welcome back to MoodTube. I'm your host, Paul Malamud. When the Jets lost to the Panthers, I lost my Bet Moody game to Jarrell Gatterson, which means I just applied some of this lovely concoction to the area where the sun don't shine. I imagine I've only got mere moments. Oh god, no, it's already hit me in. So before the pain really gets going, let's get started. I got my stress ball here. Let's see if I can get through it. There's only 2 weeks left in the regular season, and every week seems to be getting crazier than the last. The past weekend broke the record for the most points scored in one NFL day, which makes a lot of sense because I got hosed in my fantasy semifinals, like I'm sure many of you did. If the team in your league with Jamal Charles was still alive last week, it's almost guaranteed they are playing in the championship. For me, it really sucked because my team did work. They did more than I could have hoped for by scoring 132 points, 9 times out of 10, that's good enough to get you a win, but not this week. So because I lost to Mr. Foley, next week I'm going to have to put on a pretty little dress and do the wobble. I'm not going to do it this week with Icy Hot and my boys, and just so you know, it's going good. The final 2 weeks of the NFL season are shaping up to be the most exciting end of season that I can remember. In the NFC, the Seahawks are the only team that has clinched a playoff berth. Think about that for a second. It's week 16, and only one team has locked up a spot in the dance. With the Eagles, Bears, Cowboys, and Saints all losing last week, we are set for a crazy finish in the NFC, with 3 head-to-head games likely to determine the fate of 3 divisions. The Saints and the Panthers play this week in Carolina to determine who wins the South and gets the bye. The Cowboys and Eagles will play each other in Week 17 in Dallas, in what will be a win-or-go-home game for both teams. And the Packers and Bears Week 17 matchup in Chicago is all set to be another win-or-go-home game for both Chicago and Green Bay. In the AFC, the Broncos, Chiefs, and Colts are the only teams to lock up a playoff berth, with the Colts being the only team to clinch their division. The Bengals and Patriots will clinch as long as they win one of their final 2 games, and they should be able to do that with games against the Vikings and Bills respectively. It's a 3-team race for the final wildcard spot between the Ravens, Dolphins, and Chargers. The Steelers are technically alive, but they need a whole lot of help, and I don't see it happening. The Dolphins have the easiest schedule, with the Bills this week and the Jets in Week 17, both games at home. The Ravens have the toughest schedule, with them playing the Patriots this week and then the Bengals next week. The Chargers need to win out against the Raiders and Chiefs and hope that the Dolphins and Ravens each lose out. I don't see that happening. So now, if the Ravens and Dolphins each lose a game, then the Ravens are the ones to get in. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. The Dolphins are going to lose to the Jets in Week 17 at home. Rex Ryan's going to be playing for his job. And the AFC East rivals always seem to split the season series. Baltimore is going to make it back into the playoffs. And as we saw last year, there's no telling what happens once they get in. Boy, I cannot wait to watch all of this unfold. Now, with Rex Ryan's hot seat season 2 weeks from the end, I've got to address whether or not they should keep him. And yes, I think they absolutely should. Going into the season, I had 3 criteria that he had to meet for me to want him to stay on as head coach. He had to have a great defense. Check. He had to not lose the locker room. Check. And he had to win at least 6 games again. Check. I just think he met all 3, and we've got to keep him. We have to give the best defensive mind in football one season where he actually has offensive weapons at his disposal. Yes, he doesn't pay attention to the offense, but he's so great on defense it doesn't matter. He finally has an offensive coordinator in Marty Morningwig who's capable of handling the offense. We need to give him the weapons and just see what happens. I want to see how Rex does when he has some semblance of an offense. Next, our defense is going to be, the Jets defense will be much worse off if Rex leaves. I mean, yes, we have a great defensive line, but Rex is doing what he's done this year with, I believe, 8 new starters on defense. That's just insane. If we lose him, the defense will take a big step back. And what kind of a team do you think we're going to have with a bad defense and a young offense with good weapons? Not a good team. We will be worse off next year if we lose Rex Ryan. And as for the defensive line, the stable of the Jets' new defense, Carl Dunbar's a great defensive line coach, But Rex Ryan's the one that's truly responsible for the growth that we've seen in Ellis and Snacks this year, and also for Sheldon Richardson's performance as a rookie. I mean, Rex Ryan, like I've said previously today, he's the best defensive mind in football. And what's his specialty? The defensive line. What do you think he was coaching in 2000 with the 2000 Ravens on the best defense, arguably the best defense ever? He was the defensive line coach. We've got to keep him. And lastly, the whole notion that Rex Ryan isn't a John Idzik guy, I think is ridiculous. Just because Rex didn't get brought in by Idzik doesn't mean he's not an Idzik guy. They have history because their dads both worked on the 68 championship, and they're both football lifers. John Idzik's a very smart general manager, and he knows what he has in Rex Ryan. I think he's well aware that the offense was horrible this year with no weapons, and that he knows that he has to give Rex one more year. Rex should be able to coach out his contract, and I think they should give him a 1-year extension so that he can, so that after next year he has no possibility of leaving. Granted, nobody knows what John Idzik is thinking, but that's what I think has to happen. Now for this week's favorable fantasy matchup. As always, this segment is brought to you by GTS Clothing. I'm not going to give you any matchup this week because if you're still alive, then you're playing to be your league champion, and congratulations. At this point in the season, you know who your guys are, and you have got to rely on them to come through for you. If there is a truly great matchup with a bench player and a horrible one with a starter, you can possibly consider playing the bench guy, but I would much rather go down fighting with the guys who did it for me all season long than second guess myself all off-season long about why you started, say, DeAndre Hopkins against the Jaguars instead of Jordy Nelson against the Steelers. Sure, Hopkins has a great matchup, and Nelson has a bad one against Ike Taylor and the Steelers. But Nelson's a top receiver in the NFL for a reason. Just like the Texans are going to likely have the first pick in the draft for a reason. Stay with the guys who got you to where you are and go down swinging. Now for this week's game picks. These final 2 weeks of the season, with so much crazy playoff implications, I'm going to pick all of the games that actually matter for the playoffs. So let's get it started. I'm taking the Dolphins first off, giving up 2.5 points over the Bills. The Dolphins are a better team. They're playing great lately. I think they're going to win this one. I'm taking the Dolphins, giving up 2.5. Next game, I'm taking the Saints, getting 3 points on the road over the Panthers. I know. The Saints are not a good road team, and they got embarrassed last week by the Rams at home. But I think that the Saints are going to take this one. I don't know what it is. Just consider an inkling. They know that they need to be able to have a bye and a home game if they've got any chance to make it to MetLife Stadium in February. They're going to come out and win this one, I think. So I'm taking them, getting 3 points. Next, I'm taking the Cowboys, giving up 2.5 over the Redskins. I'm amazed that this isn't a bigger spread. I'm taking the Cowboys, giving up 2.5. The Redskins are not the Packers. Go Cowboys. Next game, I'm taking the Bears, getting 3 points on the road over the Eagles. Now, the Eagles are playing at home. I think this is going to be a great game, a close game. Both teams are playing for their playoff destiny. I think the Bears need this one a little bit more because even if the Eagles lose this week, if they win next week in Dallas, they're in. It's going to be a close game, so I'm taking the Bears, getting the 3 points. Now, I'm taking the Chiefs, giving up 6.5 over the Colts. The Colts have already locked up their division, and they don't really have anything else to play for because they've got no chance at a bye. They're not the same team they were earlier in the season that was knocking off the Titans of the NFL like the Seahawks and the 49ers and the Broncos. I'm taking the Chiefs, giving up 6.5 points, playing for a possible chance to get their division. Next game, the spreads are getting even bigger. I'm taking the Bengals, giving up 7 points over the Vikings. The Bengals had a tough loss to the Steelers last week, and I think they're going to come back fighting. This is their chance to make sure that they clinch a playoff berth, and they need to win this if they want to hold on to the division. Because the next week, they're playing the Ravens, who are fighting for their playoff hopes. I'm taking the Bengals this week in a big one, giving up 7 points. The spreads continue to get bigger. I'm taking the Broncos, giving up 10 points over the Texans. The Broncos had a bad loss last week, and they received a gift by the Patriots losing. They can win. If they win out, they've got the home field advantage. They're going to take care of the worst team in football handily. Ben Tate's out for the season. I'm taking the Broncos, giving up 10 points. The Cardinals are the next game I'm taking. I'm taking them, surprisingly, getting 9.5 points over the Seahawks. Now, hold on a minute. The Seahawks are playing at home. They're going to win this game. But the Cardinals are playing for their playoff destiny, and I think it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a hard-fought game. The Cardinals are going to lose, but it's going to be by less than 9.5 points. I'm taking the Cardinals. Now, the Lions, I'm taking giving up 9.5 points over the Giants. The Giants were embarrassed last week at home by the Seahawks. Now they're traveling to Detroit to play the Lions, who lost a heartbreaker last week on a 60-yard field goal by Justin Tucker to the Ravens. The Lions need to win out if they've got any hope of making it to the playoffs. They're going to come out firing. There's no way the Giants can stop Megatron. I'm taking the Giants. I'm taking the Lions giving up 9 points. There's a mistake. The Heat's getting to me. Next game, I'm taking the Chargers, giving up 9.5 points over the Redskins. The Chargers are riding high after the win over the Broncos last week on Thursday night. They need to win out if they want to make it to the playoffs. The Raiders got the Chiefs just Jamal Charles all over the Raiders. I guess that's the only way to say it last week. The Chargers have a very dynamic offense. They're playing great. Ryan Matthews is running the ball well. That's going to continue. Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen are going to have a good game. I'm taking the Chargers, giving up 9.5. Next game is the Packers versus the Steelers. Now, this game, a spread hasn't been set yet because Vegas doesn't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing. I think he's going to be playing because if they win out, they get into the playoffs. But either way, I like the Packers in this game. But we'll see what the spread is. But still, I like the Packers to win. Next game is the Ravens giving up 2.5 points over the Patriots at home. The Ravens are a team that knows how to win in December, and the Patriots are reeling after the loss of Rob Gronkowski. They should have lost to the Browns 2 weeks ago, and they did lose to the Dolphins last week. I think that the Ravens are going to win this one. But don't worry, Patriots fans. You've got the Bills coming up at home in Week 17. You're going to win, and you're going to get the division. I'm taking the Ravens this week, though, giving up 2.5 points. And lastly, on Monday Night Football, I'm taking the 49ers, giving up 12 points over the Falcons. The 49ers have all but locked up a wild card spot, and they have a tiny chance of beating the Seahawks out for the division. It's likely not going to happen because the Seahawks have 2 games at home, but the 49ers want to keep this thing rolling as they go into the playoffs. I'm taking the Niners, giving up 12 points over the Falcons. That's it for this week's episode. I'm amazed I was able to make it through. I can't begin to describe to you the pain I'm in right now. You can find me on Twitter at MoodTube or on Facebook and Instagram at Moody Sports. I've also got my website, moodysports.com, if you want to get your weekly update of what I think about the sporting world. I'll see you all next week, but in the meantime, don't forget to check out the tube, because you got to see Mood.